Namaste. This is Dr. B.M. Vinod Kumar, Assistant Professor of Economics, JVR Government College, Sattupalli, Khammam District, Telangana State. Today I am going to discuss about the important topic of Indian economy as well as macroeconomics is development of banking system in India. In this video, I am going to discuss about how the banking system in India is being developed and changed in time to time will be discussed in this video. Coming to detail, this is the development of banking sector system in India. These are the images that are related to Indian banking system. Yes, coming to structure of banking system. Introduction. The banking system of the country contributes to the growth of the economy by turning savings into investments and also by the management and efficient mobilization of resources from the savers to investors. In India also, banking system plays a significant role in promoting economic growth by efficient mobilizing the resources from different savers and allocating resources to different investors. An efficient banking system is regarded as necessary for growth of the economy. In India, banking has been divided into different groups. Each group has their own way of functioning, benefits, and limitations vice versa in operations. They have their own target market and the different banking sectors serve a different customer base. Some banks serve customers in rural areas who are engaged in agriculture activities, small business activities, self-help groups, small cottage industries, while the commercial banks serve in the both rural as well as urban areas. Most of banks only cater to the cities and major towns only. And see, coming to meaning of a bank, the term bank has originated from the term banchi. In olden days, the traders of Italy who performed the job of exchanging money were known as banchi or banchri because the table which they used for making payment was called as bench. According to some other people, the term bank is derived from the Greek word banku. A bank deals in money in the same way as businessmen deals in goods and services. Banks are business enterprises which deals in money, financial instruments, and provide financial services for a price called interest, discount, commission, like etc. etc. So, the definition of banking, there are number of definitions for bank. The prominent definitions for bank are: one is a Banking Regulation Act of India 1949, and the second one is a R.P. Kent definition of bank. Coming to India's Banking Regulation Act 1949 definition, or as per the Banking Regulation Act 1949, Section 5B, banking is the business of accepting for the purpose of lending or investment of deposits of money from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawable by check or draft or order, otherwise some other means of withdrawal methods. RP Kent also defined that a bank is an organization whose principal operations are concerned with the accumulation of the temporarily idle money, of the general public for the purpose of advancing to their to others expenditure. Here we can say, by observing the definitions, bank must perform two types of duties. One is it should collect the deposits from the public which are temporarily idle, which one is temporarily idle money, and it should give advances to the public for expenditure or for investments. These two duties should be done by the bank. So, coming to historical background of the Indian bank industry. The Indian banking industry has its foundations in 18th century and has had varied evolutionary experience since then. The initial banks in India were primarily traders' banks, engaged only in financing activities. Banking industry in pre-independence era developed with the presidential banks, which were transferred into the Imperial Bank of India and subsequently into the State Bank of India. All banks, the journey can say from presidency banks to Imperial Bank, from Imperial Bank to State Bank of India and its subsidiary banks after nationalization of banks. In the initial days, the industry saw a majority private ownership and a highly volatile work environment. Major strides towards public ownership and accountability were made with the nationalization in 1969 and 1980, which transferred to pace of banking in India. The industry in recent times has recognized the importance of private and foreign players in a competitive scenario and has moved towards greater liberalization. The growth of banking system in India can be explained through three phases. The first bank in India through conservative was established in 1786. From 1786 to till date, the journey of Indian banking system can be segregated into three distinct phases. The first phase of banking in India, 1786 to 1969. In 1720, Bank of Bombay is the first bank established in Bombay. Later, in 1770, Bank of Hindustan was established in Calcutta. In 1786, the General Bank of India is the first bank in India and it was established in 1786. After that, Bank of Hindustan and Bengal banks were established and Bank of Hindustan carried on the business, carried on the business till 1906. Till 1906. And coming to presidency banks, the East India Company established three presidency banks as independent units. Bank of Bengal in 1809, Bank of Bombay in 1840, Bank of Madras in 1843. These three banks were established independently with the government of England, with the government of British India. These three banks received the exclusive right to issue paper currency till 1861. When the Paper Currency Act, the right was taken over by the government of India in 1861 onwards. See, presidency banks to imperial bank. The journey of banking sector, the journey of banking industry in India is initially from presidency banks to imperial bank. These banks were amalgamated in 27 January 1920 with their 70 branches and given a name as Imperial Bank of India. The three presidential banks were amalgamated in 27th January 1921 with the 70 branches and given a new name as Imperial Bank of India. This was a bank established by private shareholders, mostly Europeans. This bank performed a triple role in that time. That are, one is the bank performed as commercial bank, and the bank also performed as bankers bank. This bank, Imperial Bank, also performed as a banker to the government. After the independence, on 1st July 1955, the Imperial Bank of India became the State Bank of India. State Bank of, according to the State Bank of India Act 1955. Okay, later we will discuss this one. In 1865, Allahabad Bank, on the other side, it was established exclusively by the Indians. And in 1881, Outh Commercial Bank Limited, the first joint stock bank with limited liability established in India. With limited liability established in India. This is the first joint stock bank. So we can say Outh Commercial Bank is the first giant stock bank in India established in 1881. Okay. Establishment of private banks. During the Swadeshi movement in the freedom movement, a number of private banks with Indian managements had been established. Among them, Punjab National Bank was set up in 19th May 1894 with headquarters in Lahore. This is the first bank with fully Indian management. So we can say the first fully Indian management bank is the Punjab National Bank, which was established in 19th May 1894. At that time, the headquarters of this bank was Lahore. Between 1906 and 1913, there are a number of private banks established in which the important banks are in 1906, Canara Bank was established. In 1907, Indian Bank was established. In 1908, Bank of Baroda was established. In the year 1911, Bank of India was established. In 1911, Central Bank of India also established. In 1930, Bank of Mysore was established. Until 1935, all the banks which were set up only belonged to the private sector. In the absence of any regulatory framework, these private owners of banks were at liberty to use the funds as they wanted. They deemed appropriate and resultantly the bank failure and exploitation of poor were frequent phenomenon. Therefore, in order to control and regulate these banks, the Reserve Bank of India was established in 1935. So, establishment of a Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India, RBI, was established on April 1st, 1935 in accordance with the provisions of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. The establishment of the central bank of country ended the quasi-central banking role of the imperial bank. First of all, it was the RBI was ended the quasi-central banking role of imperial bank. Then the later ceased to be bankers to the government of India and instead became agent of the Reserve Bank for the transactions of government businesses at which the central bank was not established. RBI holds the apex position in the banking structure. RBI performs various developmental and promotional functions. It has given wide powers to supervise and control the banking structure. It occupies the pivotal position in the monetary and banking structure of the country. In the first phase, even after the formation, as well as nationalization of RBI, the growth of economy and banks was very slow and banks still experienced a periodic failure. Therefore, in order to streamline the functioning and activities of the near about 1100 commercial banks present then, the government of India came up with the Banking Companies Act 1949 in March 1949. Later, it was changed to the Banking Regulation Act 1949 as per amending the Act of 1965. So, coming to Banking Regulation Act 1949. The Banking Regulation Act 1949 of India provided extensive powers to Reserve Bank of India, RBI, for supervision of banking in India as the central banking authority. The Act vested in the Reserve Bank of India the responsibility relating to the licensing of banks, branch expansions, and liquidity of their assets, management and methods of working, amalgamations, reconstructions, and the liquidation of banks. Thus, giving RBI authority along with responsibility and igniting the first part of banking transformation in India. So, establishment of SBI. The second path of breaking and transformation effort took place in 1955 with the establishment of State Bank of India. The first phase of the first path of the breaking and transformation effort took place in 1935, and the second part after 20 years. The second path of breaking and transformation effort took place in 1955 with the establishment of this State Bank of India. In 1951, when the first year plans was launched, the development of rural India was given the highest priority. The commercial banks of the country, including the Imperial Bank of India, had till then confined their operations to the urban sector and were not equipped to respond to the emergent needs of economic regeneration of the rural areas. Therefore, in order to serve the economy in general and the rural sector in particular, All India Rural Credit Survey Committee recommended the creation of state-partnered and state-sponsored bank by taking over the Imperial Bank of India and integrating with it the former state-owned or state-associated banks. Accordingly, an act was passed in Parliament in 1955 May, and the State Bank of India was constituted on 1st July 1955. So, merging of banks in State Bank of India. After establishment of SBI, government concentrated on merging of banks of different princely state banks into State Bank of India. In 1959, the government of India passed the State Bank of India Subsidiary Banks Act. In 1959, the government of India passed the State Bank of India Subsidiary Banks Act, State Bank of India Act. According to this act, 8 banks that had belonged to princely states became subsidiaries of SBI. The government integrated these banks into the State Bank of India system to expand its rural outreach. In 1963, SBI merged State Bank of Jaipur, which is established in 1943, and the State Bank of Bikaner, which was established in 1944, and it was renamed as State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur. So, meaning of merging of banks in the State Bank of India in 2017. The larger merging of banks is happened in 2017. In 2017, State Bank of India merged with itself 5 of its associate banks, that are State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Travancore, State Bank of Hyderabad, and the State Bank of Patiala, along with Bharatiya Mahila Bank, the 6th bank. Although the banks were merged, the shares of these associate banks were termed as individual entities. What are the reasons for merging the banks in one bank or in SBI? There are many reasons that were cited for the merger. Some of these mergers will decrease the unhealthy competition in the PSBs. Further, it was difficult to smaller banks to sustain competition and various risk norms. Also, due to changes in regulations in the form of Basel III risk norms, there was a requirement of compliancy and technology. Keeping in view, Government of India decided to merge these associate banks into SBI, State Bank of India. Banking sector reforms after independence. Banking sector reforms after independence. The government took major initiatives in banking sector reforms after independence. In 1955, the government of India nationalized the Imperial Bank of India and constituted a State Bank of India, as already we know, to offer extensive banking facilities and especially in rural and semi-urban areas. The government constituted the State Bank of India to act as the principal agent of the RBI and to handle banking transactions of the union government and the state governments all over the country. 7 banks owned by the princely states were nationalized in 1959 and they became subsidiaries of the State Bank of India. However, it was soon realized that State Bank of India alone is not sufficient for the development of the economy, and more government-sponsored banks are required to. Accordingly, the plan of nationalization was passed in 1968, thus forming the third turning point in the history of Indian banking in India. So, the second phase of Banks of India or the second phase of growth of banking sector in India is from 1969 to 1991. There are number of changes has been taken in this particular period. The most important change is the nationalization of banks. The need for nationalization was felt because government believed that private commercial banks were lacking in fulfilling the social and developmental goals of banking. This was evident from the fact that industry's share in loans almost doubled between 1951 and 1968, from 34 to 68%. On the other hand, agriculture, which was a major occupation, even uh, now also, received less than 2% of the total credit. Thus, with the view to serve the mass government, thus with the view to serve the mass, Government of India nationalized 14 banks in 1969, bringing the total number of branches under the government control to 84%. Once again in April 1980, the Government of India undertook a second round of nationalization, placing under government control the 6 private banks whose nationwide deposits were about 2 billion, leaving approximately 10% of bank branches in private hands. So, coming to nationalized banks in 1969 and nationalized banks in 1980. See, in 1969, 14 banks were nationalized, like Allahabad Bank, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Canara Bank, Central Bank of India, Syndicate Bank, UCO Bank, United Bank of India, Union Bank, Punjab National Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Indian Bank, and Dina Bank. The 6 banks which were nationalized in 80s are Andhra Bank, Corporation Bank, New Bank, Punjab and Sindh Bank, Vijaya Bank, Oriental Bank of Commerce, and UTI Bank. These banks were nationalized. 14 plus 6, 20 banks were nationalized uh, in the second phase of growth of the Indian banking scenario. See, merging of other SBI subsidiary banks in SBI. Apart from the above mentioned 20 banks, there were 7 subsidiary banks of SBI which were nationalized in 1959. State Bank of Patiala, State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Biknur and Jaipur, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Travancore, State Bank of Saurashtra, State Bank of Indore. The first step towards unification occurred on 30th August 2008 when State Bank of Saurashtra merged with the SBI, reducing the number of associate banks from 7 to 6. State Bank of Indore merged in 2010 and reduces the number of associate banks from 6 to 5. And the remaining 5 subsidiaries of SBI and one Bharatiya Mahila Bank were merged in SBI in 1st April 2017. And after this merger, the State Bank of India became as a largest commercial bank in terms of assets, deposits, branches, number of customers and employees, enjoying the continuing faith of millions of customers across the social spectrum. With this merger, SBI has entered into the league of top 50 global banks. It has now 24,017 branches and 59,263 ATMs, serving over 42 crores customers. SBI is now banking with an asset book of 37 lakh crore. The merged entity will have 1/4 of the deposit of loan market and the SBI market share will increase from 17 to 22.5% or 25%. State Bank of India has over 24,000 branches, 59,000 ATMs, and 195 foreign offices across 36 countries after the merger of its 5 associate banks and Bharatiya Mahila Bank. It is ranked 236th in the Fortune Global 500 list of the world's biggest corporations of 2019. It is the largest bank in India with 23% market share by assets and 25% share of the total loan and deposits market. This is the impact, this is the result of the merger of State Bank of India and its associate banks. And the third phase of Indian banking system, or the growth of Indian banking system, can be said from 1991 to till date. This phase has introduced many more products and facilities in the banking sector in its reforms measure. To provide stability and probability to the nationalized public sector banks, the government decided to set up a committee under the expert leadership to manage the various reforms in the Indian banking industry. In 1991, under the chairmanship of M. Narasimhan, a committee was set up by his name, which worked for the liberalization of banking practices. The biggest development was the introduction of private sector banks in India. RBI gave licenses to 10 private sector banks to establish themselves in the country. These banks included Global Trust Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, Bank of Punjab, IndusInd Bank, Centurion Bank, IDBI Bank, Times Bank, Development Credit Bank, DCB Bank, like that. The country is flooded with foreign banks and their ATM stations. Efforts are being made to give a satisfactory services to the customer. Phone banking and net banking is introduced. The entire system became more convenient and swift. This is given more important than money. The other measures taken include: once the bank were established in the country, regular monitoring and regulations needed to be followed to continue the profits provided by the banking sector. The last phase, or the ongoing phase of the banking sector development, plays a very important role. The other measures taken in this period included setting up branches of various foreign banks in India, and no more nationalization of banks could be done. The committee announced that RBI and government would treat both public and private sectors banks equally. Any foreign bank could start joint venture with Indian banks. Payments bank were introduced with the development in the field of banking and technology. Small finance banks were allowed to set their branches across India. A major part of Indian banking moved online with internet banking and apps available for fund transfer. Okay, thus we can say the history of banking in India shows that with the time and the needs of people, major developments have been done in the banking sector with an aim to prosper it. Okay, this is the development of banking sector in India. For any queries, questions, or any suggestions, you can send me mail on my mail ID, Bazozu Vinod, BAJOJUVANOD, Bazozu Vinod @gmail.com. Thank you very much.